I'm really tempted
Don't
to
know
do
how you
that.
do it.
I don't either. I was about to ask you. Yeah.
Ayan, we're live.
Yeah, and it's okay. I think we can just wait for people to kind of flow in a little.
I was asking my writer friends, like,
Mm.
how do you do that every day? It's like emotional torture writing.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I have this one pool writer, and she's really competent. We ended up talking at around 10 p.m. because that's uh when her work hours are over. The pool writing thing is just a side gig, and I think we are just talking about how there's a real labor to art writing that is kind of not really noticed. Like it's not something you can just kind of crank out. Yeah. So
Plus, it's invisible, no? No one really pays
still,
attention to.
yeah.
Like,
Actually, that's how I understood your hypothesis extension, the one that you put for protopara, because it's such a solitary act research, and here is this extension, right, where there's suddenly this intervention of a third party. Like there are scholars who are actually studying with you, when normally it's like a reader and author. It's just like a single transference. It's just one channel. So it was
uh,
quite nice, like the seeing the annotations of other people. I didn't put any. I was nervous, right? But yeah,
yeah.
yeah,
Okay, I think we should start.
right. Yes. Yeah. Hello, everyone. I'm Eloding Lasan. I'm the content editor of Cartolina and your moderator for today. And I have here Carla Gamalinda, whom you would know much about from a quick Google search. But just in case you haven't Google searched it, I actually prepared an introduction. So I'm just going to read it out. Um, Carla Gamalinda is a visual artist, a researcher, and an art teacher. She graduated from the University of Santo Tomas with a Bachelor of Fine Arts degree and a Master of Arts degree in Cultural Heritage Studies. In 2015, she was announced a fellow of that year's J. Elizalde Navarro National Workshop on Critical and Cultural Heritage Studies. Earlier this year, as one of the curators selected for Vargas Museum's Proto-Para Rethinking Curatorial Work, Gamalinda presented Listen to Light, Carlos Bulosan's Voice of Bataan, which collected various annotations from scholars, artists, and cultural agents at the digital margins of Bulosan's work, then put up online for the show. And through the Chrome extension hypothesis.is, invited the public audience to add some of their own. To add to her cool points, Carla, as a visual artist now, is currently exhibiting her work at Gravity Art Space, Quezon City, for the group exhibition Animal, which will continue until November 27. I personally have not been to Gravity Art Space, but the lineups have been, and I highly suggest that people check that place out whenever it's safe. Her presentation today, talking about Carla again, will cover the main points of her study, published earlier this year in the Philippine Sacra, titled Contributing to the Identification of Publications from the Dominican, Jesuit, and Franciscan Presses through a study of graphic art in Manila, the year 1604 to 1815. Have Carla here. Sir Ricky actually can't make it today, so it's just us.
Magandang
Yeah.
umaga, Ilo. Magandang umaga
Hello.
sa mga nanonood. Thank you for being here. Among all the presentations I made for Philippine graphic art for my research, this is probably one of the most important for me. Not to discount all the previous invitations, but I'm very excited to present this to fellow visual artists, especially to the printmakers and those who appreciate the art of printmaking. Because this research is really for you. So if you have new insights while listening as a printmaker, uh, if you have new insights while listening to my presentation, please let me know. So let's put up the slides now. Yan. So the best way, I think, to present the history of printmaking in Manila is to first explain the background and the nature of the press back then. I'll illustrate processes after used in the 18th century printing, and then I'll present the timeline of art styles while discussing the practical application of this study. Yeah, that's the outline. So for the background of the press in Manila, in Philippine print, the first recorded graphic art is seen in the front page of the Tagalog version of the Doctrina Christiana. So the primary goal of this book is to propagate Christian teaching across the Philippine archipelago. So the Philippine press is similar to other Spanish colonies in the world in such a way that it was established for the purpose of maintaining the order in the colony. So it was used for printing mainly materials for evangelization and government ordinances like that. And we had three active presses. So that's three active presses from 1600s to 1700s. So that's Dominican press, the Franciscan press, and the Jesuit press. Unlike in Germany and certain parts of Europe, where it was considered as an agent of radical societal transformation, like that of the Protestant Reformation started by Martin Luther, uh, our press was not like that. But we are also different from our counterparts in Mexico and Peru, kasi the Philippines did not have a common language that can be used to communicate throughout the archipelago. Walang lingua franca. So let's imagine in 1591 in Luzon alone there were 6 major languages, along with many other minor languages and other dialects. And we have to note that also printing technology was introduced to the native population that already had an established system of reading and writing, which is the baybayin. And it came in many forms. Because of this pre-established literacy and the vitality of languages, the press was forced to include multiple cultures as both consumers and producers of printed publications, so making our press very unique in all the world. Here's a table from the dissertation of Matthew Hill titled Printing Press and Book Circulation in Colonial Manila. He tallied all the books produced in the Philippines by languages. Thus, as you can see, there is a significant number of non-Spanish texts. But of course, the majority is still in Spanish because the consumers are mostly the religious. Labor in the 16th century Philippines, the labor force back then, was characterized by this ubiquity of Chinese professionals in every trade. So historian Pedro Chirino describes this Chinese labor force as very skilled in all the known trades. I actually have this suspicion that the Chinese has been printing in Manila way before the Doctrina Christiana, or at least they bring prints when they do trade. But this is still baseless, and I have no evidence yet. But printing in China started as early as 590 AD. So we have had a long and rich history of contact with China through trade. So it's not far from possible that they have been selling prints already or using it for advertisements. Ganyan. So that's something to study in the future. But going back, despite having many skilled Chinese printers, book printing and engraving were only handled by the Chinese up until around 1607, when the last known books were printed in their Binondo shops outside of Intramuros. Art historian Santiago Pilar, Sir Jack Pilar, suspects that the Chinese printers might have fallen out of grace after the Chinese uprising in 1603. So by the first decade of the 17th century, that's 1600s, nakakalito yung dating, no? That's 1600s, that the task of printing had been transferred from Chinese printers to Filipinos to native Filipinos. So one advantage of hiring Tagalog workers was the possibility of having someone like Tomas Pinpin. Tomas Pinpin is a native of Bataan. He is considered now as the Prince of Philippine Printing. He was a Ladino meaning someone who could express themselves fluently in both Spanish and Tagalog, and could therefore translate the missionaries' evangelical work into the local culture. So throughout the history of printmaking, since the early 1600s, the craft was dominated by native Filipinos. Even the directors of the Jesuit and Dominican presses in the 18th century were native Filipinos. So we have Nicolas de la Cruz Bagay. He is a native of Tambobo who occasionally signed his name with the qualifier Indio Tagalo and Manila. And then we have Tomas Adriano, a native of Sampaloc, from our town in Tondo. And sorry, Lorenzo Atlas is not a director, but a uh, master engraver. So Lorenzo Atlas is identified by a bibliographer as Indio de Manila. So they're all native Filipino printmakers. A bit later, let's look at the works of these printers. But before that, let's look at the printing technology used in Manila back then. To get a glimpse of how the printing press worked back then, we will look at this inventory. This is an inventory of the equipment and items inside the Jesuit press when they were ordered to leave in Manila in 1768. In the process of facilitating this Jesuit expulsion, the Royal Court of Spain commissioned an inventory of the estate of the order. And one inventory, this one, recorded the material assets inside the Colegio de San Ignacio in Intramuros. So this is the document. This is the title page of the document. It's a long title, no? But for this discussion, I'll call it the inventory. And this inventory enumerated, that's how it looks like inside. This inventory enumerated the items found inside the Jesuit press and provided the price evaluation for each item or lot. So when we look at the terms used in the inventory, it reveals similarities with contemporary terms used for movable type printing or yung relief printing. These similarities show that movable type printing in its essential process and technology remained unchanged for at least 300 years. This is how it looks like, but don't worry, I'll illustrate it for you. Hindi ganyan lahat ng slides. Yan. This is just for illustration. According to the inventory, the Jesuit printing office in Intramuros is furnished with products made out of a variety of wood. So this is very interesting. They have chairs made out of molave, a table made out of tindalo, a cabinet made out of baticolin. The inventory also mentions cajones de las letras, or type cases. It's the one pictured here in our slide. Type cases are special furniture used to hold and organize types. And they were also made out of molave in the Jesuit press. There are drapes meant to cover these type cases, and they were called manta de Iloco, or cloth from Ilocos. According to the inventory, there were two types of presses in the Jesuit press. There is one for laminas, or copper plate engraving, and 4 machines for typesetting or relief printing. Yeah, the crucial parts of a movable type press are, I'm sure some of us know this already, but this is the punzon, the punch, the matrix, the mold, and the letter types or tipos de letras. So to make letter types in the traditional typecasting process, the punch which starts as a metal rod is carved out on one end with the mirror image of a letter or symbol. The card punch is tempered so that it would not split when struck to make an impression on this matrix, which is a copper piece. Now, the matrix, which bears the right reading image of the letter, is fitted onto a bottom of a mold wherein the molten lead alloy is cast or poured. Then after cooling, the letter type is released from the mold. This process of casting can produce multiple copies of a letter type, and once the letter types are cast using the matrices, they are sanded smooth to clean up the rough edges. The inventory refers to this file for smoothing as lima para limar las letras, file for filing letter type. So you can assume that they really do the type casting process inside the Jesuit press, or at least locally. So there were several terms in the inventory that referred to letter types, several mentions of matrices, but there were no mentions of dispunson or yung punch, the first one. As far as we know, we have no record of punches in all the discussions. Well, I'm not sure, in most of the discussions of Philippine printing, as far as I know. Uh, this lack of evidence leads to the hypothesis that the presses in Manila did not cut their own letter punches, and probably they imported these matrices as is na. And that the type casting process was only limited to molding types using probably yun nga, imported matrices. So this is odd considering that the local population already had this very extensive and established metal smithing culture. So that's another thing to study. But returning to the process of printing, to print a sheet using a movable type press back then, the smoothened letter types are arranged onto galeras or galleys and laid out on a tablero or board. Then the assembled types are set on the machine and inked. Interestingly, the inventory mentions ink pots. Ink pots, a cloth for collecting smoke, probably used to make ink, and ink stones for grinding. So from these items mentioned, it can be presumed that the printers made their own ink using the traditional Chinese or Indian method. This one. This method involves charring of wood, usually pine, mixed with petroleum to create soot from smoke. So soot is collected by placing a thick cloth over the smoke and then scraped off and mixed with water, sometimes a binder, and finally ground to form a paste. The paste is sometimes molded into sticks, which will be dried for storage. So before they are used, ink sticks are ground on a damp ink stone to create a paste. Uh, some of us who attended Chinese school are familiar with this, or who have tried Oriental painting or yung sumie. Yun. When you grind the ink stick, actually you can still smell the pine. I'm not sure if you've tried this already, but it's a very fragrant na ink. Ayan. So the paste is, so before they are used nga, they are ground, and when this ink dries, it develops into a durable, very waterproof film. This method, which dates as far back as 250 BC, is still used in traditional Chinese painting today. So the ink paintings we see is usually from this process. So after inking, paper is laid down on the ink types, and the long handle is used to turn to push down. A long handle is used to turn a heavy wooden screw that exerts downward pressure against the paper. So that's the press. The paper most commonly used in Philippine publications in prints here during the Spanish colonial period is known as papel de arroz or rice paper, which Chinese merchants probably supplied along with silks, earthenware, yung mga metals, fruits, etc. It is alternatively known also as papel de China or papel de seda, and its fine texture registered beautiful impressions. It's very brittle, as you can see in this picture. It's probably a nightmare to conserve, uh, pero the fine texture really captures the details of the print. And decorative elements and wood blocks are also included in movable type print by engraving wood blocks or xylographs and laying them out together with the letter types before inking. So this is an image of Our Lady of Manawag. This is the print and the wood block side by side. Another printing method used in Manila publications is copperplate printing. So copperplate printing, as we know, is an intaglio method that was usually used for larger pictorial works. According to the inventory, the Jesuit press had a total of 24 laminas inside the office when the inventory was executed. Each was described according to the subject depicted, the size of the page, its monetary value, and whether the pieces were completed or partially engraved. So the fact that there were partially engraved copper plate para plates indicates that there these were probably being engraved in the printing office when the inventory was done. So probably not imported. So these images have to be printed separately from the pages that are printed using the movable type kasi they entail separate processes. So most likely you can see the edges of the print plate, or sometimes they glue this paper onto the um, pages that are printed with movable type. So since this intaglio method pushes the paper into the recessed lines on the plate, uh, and transfers the ink to the paper, the prints produced using this method can be set apart from wood cut print or yung wood block print by looking for ink raised above the surface of the paper and the marks of the plate edges, yung like this one seen in this slide. Also, in relief printing methods like the letterpress and the wood block, um, this printing method creates a characteristic ink squash, wherein the force of the press pushes the ink outward, causing the ink to pool at the edges of the letter or the decorative element. While the intaglio is raised ink, naman, contrary to. Here's how prints look up close. The one on the left no, is relief print, so it's slightly recessed, and the one on the right is intaglio or copper plate print, so the ink is slightly raised, slightly embossed. Yeah. So now that we are familiar with the printing technology available at that time, as well as the nature of the press in the Philippines, let's now look into the timeline of art styles in Philippine printing. Hold on. It is almost impossible to discuss any timeline of art without running into the risk of oversimplification. So the mere use of definitions or terms for a style implies a very static and institutional uniformity, parang homogeneous effect that hides this variety na dala ng development of the style as it travels through countries over the years. So we have to remember that the ideas that carried these styles arrived in heterogeneous cultures with different political landscapes, religious beliefs, and they were accepted with varying degrees of enthusiasm. So, therefore, it is important to point out that the following chronological categorization that we will discuss here of these styles, they do not imply sudden and total changes. There is no solid delineation. So sometimes art styles are mixed, sometimes you can see it in transition. So these terms that we are going to use are only convenient ways to discuss stylistic commonalities for the purpose of situating Philippine graphic art within these exchanges of ideas. Lalo the Philippines being in the crossroads of civilizations. It was far from a blank sheet when the first known print was printed. So in pictorial arts, according to art historian Jack Pilar, the missionaries wanted to prescribe or parang dictate a uniform Baroque style as a standard for pictures for evangelization. However, local cultures like local cultures, Chinese commodities, and Mexican influences persisted in our arts and permeated and enriched Philippine creative works. The missionaries' objective of standardizing evangelical publications only became more feasible, for graphic art at least, upon the arrival of this book. This book contains illustrations of gospel stories, printed in Antwerp in 1593 in one of the most famous publishing houses. It contains 153 engravings, originally meant to aid Jesuit novices in meditation, but it was circulated all around the globe, and it became a source book for Christian graphic art. Here, side by side, is a page from the source book, the illustration of gospel stories, and its translation by a Chinese artist from the Ming Dynasty. You can see the composition is very similar. You know that it has been influenced by the source book. Prints in the Philippines also started to reflect this style in their own output too. So on the left are elements from the source book, and on the right are similarly styled decors in Philippine prints. Here's a more striking resemblance. This is not from the source book na, but it's from a block print uh, from a Madrid publication. But you can see the influence. The other work is a work printed by Tomas Pinpin in 1637. So the right one is local na. The style they are trying to propagate, this arabesque Baroque style, uh, found in the decorations of the source book, is actually a variant of the Baroque and refers to a style developed out of a long established tradition of using vine scrolls or yung mga plant-based vine plant-based, sorry, vine scroll ornaments. They are very intricate and fanciful na surface decorations based on rhythmic linear patterns of scrolling, interlacing foliage, and tendrils. These motifs were often used in print throughout the world for graphic art because their abstract nature allows them to be used repeatedly for many topics. since the designs usually had no specific connection to the meaning of the text, so very abstract siya, and could therefore be reused in different titles. Simultaneous with the development of the arabesque style, or yung vine scrolls, is that of strap work or scroll work, sometimes called scroll work. These ornaments, consisting of interlaced bands reminiscent of leather thongs naman, like curling leather straps. Both styles, the vine scrolls and the strap work, were characteristics of the earliest recorded decades of Philippine art. Here are examples of its use in Philippine printing. So somehow I know that the print is from the earlier decades, in 1600s, when I see this style, yung strap work na gumagano na leather. So it helps with dating. Another motif that became very popular in local printing is the grotesque decoration. So similar to arabesque in that it still used scrolling foliage. Grotesque motifs naman included human figures and animals, even mystical creatures such as mermaids. Ganyan. It is described as an unnatural or unorderly composition for the light's sake of men, beasts, birds, fishes, etc., without rhyme or reason. So the grotesque style spread from Rome and Italy to the rest of Europe in the 1600s and was applied to almost every medium for the next 300 years. Super, ano niya, kalat niya. The use of grotesque decor was widely used in Philippine printing by around 1730. Yeah, these are examples of grotesque style in Philippine printing. Now, during the 1700s naman, a few years after, in Europe, the scrollwork became increasingly slender and sinuous. So soon, a new variation emerged called Rococo. Uh, nag-transition to Rococo and Rococo grotesques. So they began to replace the arabesque strapwork style. So the once very symmetrical and confined ornamentation started to swirl freely, regardless of symmetry. Here are examples by master engraver Lorenzo Atlas. So you can see this style is characterized by delicately light and elegant elements. So in contrast to the pompous seriousness of old Baroque, na very symmetrical, very sculptural. So Rococo ornamentation is often composed with S-shaped curves and motifs from nature, as well as fluid abstract ornaments that create silhouettes, parang splashing water. I read somewhere, I forgot where, but he or she described it as the basis now of Rococo style is ignoring rationalism and accepting the impossible. And so it's a very nice description of Rococo, accepting the impossible. Diba? A perfect representative of the Rococo grotesque style is found in the 17... wait lang. Let's marvel at this ano muna. These works, Rococo works then. So notice the non-symmetrical motifs. So what you find on the left is slightly different from the patterns on the right. So hindi na siya masyadong logical. Although in Philippine print, parang may ano pa rin, may constraint pa rin dito. So in European versions, it's like really, it's asymmetrical. Eh. Pero dito, I think we're still bound by symmetry. And these are perfect representatives of Rococo grotesque. So Rococo with the masks that we saw earlier. This is found in 1742 Manila publication titled Historia de la Provincia del Santissimo Rosario, published by the Dominican Press. The style reached its peak popularity in Philippine printing ng mga around 1780. And Rococo is considered by some as the last iteration of the Baroque period, while some considered it as a really separate movement in general. Pero ako, I'll consider it as part of the Baroque period. So paradoxically, Baroque and Rococo, the mass appeal of these styles also caused its own descent. Siguro na overuse. Now, this new style, neoclassicism, the next movement observed in Philippine graphic art, was presumed to be caused again by a reaction to the incumbent style. So, the overstimulus brought about by the Baroque style, the Rococo style, probably prompted a demand for stillness and simplicity. So naumay sila sa details, sa asymmetry, sa lack of logic. Probably, yeah, probably. So neoclassicism is described as dignified and restrained. It uses only simple geometric forms that are linear and flat in contrast to the Baroque's highly sculptural forms. It was seen as curbing Rococo's inventiveness and experimentation. So this movement started to emerge in Europe in the 1750s and was well established by the 1770s. It has been observed in Philippine print as early as 1773. Do we have a slide here? Yeah. In a publication by the Seminarian Press. This drastic change in the landscape of Philippine graphic art also reflects a series of societal changes in the city. So you can see that graphic art is related to what is happening to the society. Kasi in 1781, the Real Sociedad Económica de los Amigos del País was established. Its main goal was to forward the principles of the Enlightenment age. In 1785 naman, the ecclesiastical restriction on painters to practice art outside the church was lifted. So pwede na mag-art outside of the church. And this secularization outside of the arts ushered a new demand from affluent families. So nagkaroon na tayong secular art during this time. This cosmopolitanization of art was further driven by the opening of trade ports, made official by 3 decrees, 1785, 1787, 1789. So sunod-sunod yun. And then printing presses operated by lay people started to emerge as well. So there were secular presses already, starting from the press of Manuel Memije in 1814. So that was the overview of the timeline of Philippine graphic art, or at least what I can fit into one lecture without overloading you with information. But just to give you a background on how I was able to arrive at this overview, I had to go through all the pages of all available publications from the start of Philippine printing and catalog the graphic elements, so yung mga initials, borders, laminas or copperplate engravings, all of them. So that's around 150 publications, some of which have 700, 800 pages. So medyo madami siya. Crazy work. So as a result of this catalog that we have built, patterns and irregularities started to emerge from this visual data, which is not usually used as a source in scholarly research, no. But now through this collection of information, we are now able to help identify, for example, which printing press which printing press printed this anonymous publication, for example. Kasi there are cases that presses didn't do not indicate yung ano nila, yung name nila. So there's a gap in knowledge there. One example of this is this document right here, the one on the left. This is an anonymous publication. Parang wala siyang printing press na indicated. But since I remember that this initial letter, the graphic element, was also used in a publication by the Dominican press in 1692. So na-match siya. So finding this, or it increases the probability that this was probably printed by the Dominican press, no? Kasi it's the same graphic element. Baligtad lang siya, if you can see. It's turned upside down. So another example is this. Yeah. The document on the left again is another anonymous publication titled Ordenanzas de Marina. So bibliographers claim that it was printed by the Jesuit press. Pero this graphic element here, the P, parang looking at all the graphic elements actually of the document, points that it has the same ones used by the Dominican press also. So if you look at the letter P here, you can see that it's the same xylograph or the same wood block kasi may chip dun sa corner. There. So again, it increases the probability that it was printed by the Dominican press. Another evidence for that favors the Dominican press is this. And this is the one on the left is the cover for the Ordenanzas de Marina. If you look at the publications printed by the Dominican press in 1755, very similar siya. So it's almost hard to deny na it's printed by the Jesuit press when they had a very different style of laying out the front page. Ayan. Wait lang. Okay, so even if these are just very minute graphic elements, they hold a lot of information that can support or correct previous claims, like this one in Ordenanzas de Marina. So this approach may also be used for finding and identifying more Philippine publications in archives around the world that are not yet attributed to the Manila Press. Kasi baka hindi pa na-identify. So this can help identify it. So I'll cap my sharing of my research here. Kasi my goal is actually to invite you fellow artists to take on the research of the history of Philippine graphic art, since we are the ones who can really understand this in a way that would be impossible for those who do not practice the craft. So you have this practical knowledge. Your perspective as practitioners, as printmakers, is valuable. And there's a mountain of data. I swear it's a mountain of data waiting to be analyzed. The one parang this is just parang kuko pa lang yung pinakita ko sa inyo. Even the ones that I scanned through, feeling ko hindi pa siya parang 1 of 100 siguro. Very, very little pa. I've barely scratched the surface. So the info I have is just for Manila. But there are presses in Cavite, in Naga, in Iloilo. So I hope someone can parang take on the research. If ever you would want to start reading up on the history of Philippine graphic art, I suggest you start with these. So I started with reading Filipino engraving by Imelda Cajita Endaya, Jesus Merino, and Rod Paras Perez. Very, very nice book. And then, so that you can understand the landscape of Philippine colonial art, you have to read Simbahan, the church art in colonial Philippines by Sir Ricky Trota Jose. And of course, yeah, Limbag Kamay, the namesake, by Jack Pilar and Miss Meps Cajita Endaya again. Then, if you want to go deeper, we have a comprehensive catalog of all Philippine prints by Sir Ricky Jose again. From there, you'd probably find other bibliographies by other scholars. Uh, the one I mentioned earlier is worth reading also, the dissertation of American scholar Matthew Hill. It's very useful for me. It's titled Printing Press and Book Circulation in Colonial Manila, published in 2015. And then for online resources, this is free. This is free. If you want to start browsing prints, uh, you will find copies of the historic Philippine prints in Biblioteca Digital Hispanica from BNE or Biblioteca Nacional de España. So they have a digital library. The link is there. Tapos, UST, University of Santo Tomas Digital Library, and the Internet Archive. Parang very unassuming yung third, no? But I swear there's a lot of materials there. Of course, there are a lot of materials too in our physical archives and libraries. I really hope they can open again soon. Kasi it's a treasure talaga. And so I started this research in 2017. That's 4 years already, give or take. But I feel nga that I've barely scratched the surface. So there's so much that needs to be studied in the history of graphic art. And we need more people studying this. So sana there's someone among the audience that would um, start start their own, continue. So before I end the presentation, I'd like to thank Sir Ricky for the invitation, Sir Ilo, and the rest of the team in Cartelino and Limbag Kamay for the invitation to share my research. Kasi when I was starting this research, I remember telling my advisor and my colleagues in cultural heritage studies about this insecurity that I have. Kasi I feel that my research is not serving any living person. Kasi yung research nila had very practical applications like conservation of the stone in Pangasinan, for example, or social value ng refugee camp in Giwan. It's very direct impact para sa communities nila. So my research felt very isolated, and I was afraid that it might just sit on a shelf collecting dust. But they comforted me then, saying that baka I just have to find the community where my research belongs to. So maybe this is it. Baka kayo yung community. Kaya maraming salamat po sa mga nakinig. This research belongs to you. I hope it becomes something of value to you. And if you have any questions, even after this session, I'd be happy to answer them. So salamat, salamat.
Wow. That was awesome. Like I totally felt that when you said all of your peers had more practical applications for their research, and because it's a
Diba?
recurring issue, right? It's always like, well, what the hell am I doing? And you know, audience and Carla, like I am a chronic procrastinator. Like I myself probably would have quit after like 70 years of collecting data, but you went the whole way. You covered 2 centuries. Like I think someone had to stop you before covering 3 centuries, right? Wow. I think I just kind of want to start this off by pulling up this thing from Sir Ricky in the comments. It reads, "We value your research as it allows us to know the ecology, economy, and artistry of the foregone eras, which we can compare with what we have now. Thank you, Ma'am Carla, for the very comprehensive work." And if I could just build on that point, um, okay, audience, I have a very rudimentary understanding of art history. Like for me, it was just like limbo, and then bam, like the moderns happened, and they just kind of wanted to bang the doors of some institution or other, right? So this is where I'm coming from, Carla, and I quite like it, right? Because that's generally the preoccupation, this idea of the avant-garde. Um, the problem of, like, say, capitalism, for example, and addressing the very urgent social political realities. And of course, like, everyone can feel that way. I think this also falls under practical applications when talking about art. It's the same thing with writing, I would think. And I think what's really interesting about academic research, it's not my idea. I got it from um, Christine De Leon, actually, who very kindly and generously told me this, was that academic contexts allow people to pursue timelines very different from our own. And I certainly think that you did that. And it is so interesting, like just to kind of hear that we had our own neoclassical period. And that was like a general reaction to the party that was the Rococo grotesque. Um,
It's always a
yeah, that's
counter
really
reaction, no? So after
yeah,
ngayon meron tayong minimalist. So parang ang susunod na is maximalist naman. So tired of minimalism. It's always like, parang pendulum. Yun. I would describe it as a
yeah,
pendulum of styles.
yeah. It's kind of like that whole, like, claiming the zeitgeist, right, of the moment. And I like the whole idea of minimalism. I mean, like, I'm more interested in the upsurge or the uptick in minimalism just because it's so easy to identify. I mean, in your algorithms, for example, someone is talking about Marcus Aurelius, and it gets a little exhausting, right? But it's very hard to actually think outside of those paradigms. So I don't know. I just really like this bird's eye view where you basically gave a timeline, and though you did say that the problem with these things is that it kind of simplifies. You made a really good point that there were always these undercurrents, right? That eventually things would emerge. It's really cool. Yeah. Audience, if you want to give comments or if you just want to say what art style you identify with, comment below, please.
How
I'm
about
also
you,
kind of,
Ilo? What art style do you identify with the most?
oh goodness.
Ako yung nagtanong, no? Sorry.
That just kind of backfired to me. Ooh. I don't know. I guess the Rococo grotesque is pretty interesting. Um,
Same, same.
yeah,
It's
and
unlogical,
yeah,
very, very whimsical.
yeah, and I think it's also because you're a researcher, right? So you kind of want to escape the order just a little bit. So the creative expression that's completely at odds with what you do, it tends to do that. Um, yeah. Oh, here, Anton Villaroel has a question. It's a good question. What prompted you to start the research? Any influence, personal reasons?
Why did I start nga? No, I'm trying to remember. But siguro partly it was my advisor in the graduate school, Sir Ricky, who introduced us to the timeline of art history. This timeline is actually loosely based from his lecture. So I am working as a graphic designer then. So I think that parang when we were choosing topics kasi for research, we were encouraged to choose something that is close to your heart, something that you know kahit pagbali-baligtarin pa siya. So for me, it's graphic design. and then printing. I've been in publication since high school, so printing for me is parang ano na, uh, parang second nature. Parang it's part of my life. Yun. Um, yun. Influence is my background, my educational background, my interests then. And partly rin because I think I have parang a reliable mentor when I choose parang if I choose this topic I have a very reliable mentor in Sir Ricky Jose who actually very generously gave me um, access to his personal collections of prints. Some of the images I flashed there was from him, and the ones in the folder pa. Yun. So I had a lot of materials. It's nothing ano naman, it's nothing magical or parang hugot. Pero along the research, I really fell in love with print history.
Yeah, that's really fascinating, especially because oh, sorry, there's a question by Siriki here. What archive what archives and libraries did you do your research in, Ma'am Carla?
Ayun. I mentioned Sir Ricky already. He is actually the archivist of the, if I pronounce this wrong, baka mapagalitan ako, Archivo de Universidad de Santo Tomas, the AUST or the archives of the UST. So they have an amazing collection. Really, it's supposed to be, it's deserving to be like a treasure of the world, like a, a world heritage parang memory of the world, something like that. Kasi there's so much that needs to be analyzed there. They have a catalog, by the way, the collections of libritos, the beceros, etc. They have it in 2 volumes, which you can browse, and they have annotations there. So the collection is there. Also, I looked into BNE, the one I flashed earlier, from Biblioteca Nacional de España. Uh, Yun din, it's very accessible. Although the quality of their scans is much less than the ones in AUST. So it's hard to really analyze the details done. But when it comes to volume of the materials, marami sa BNE. And then sporadically sa iba-ibang archives. But the two most used archives is AUST and BNE po.
If I may also ask, like, what were the other challenges that you kind of came across as a researcher, especially because you were covering like these presses? Did you have to pick up a language to like, yeah,
I took formal lessons in Spanish, syempre. Um, I'm not fluent, pero siguro the basic. I can understand when I read. Kasi it's a different ano rin eh, when you read 18th century Spanish kesa kesa Las Casa, diba? Ayun, kesa Money Heist Spanish, diba? It's very different. Ayun. So I get help from friends who are really fluent in Spanish, so that helps.
that's cool. Okay. Um, yeah,
Can I promote din pala no?
yeah,
For
sure.
those who would want to study 18th century Manila or at least Philippine history in general. Um, Studying Spanish is very important kasi it opens up a new world for you. So imagine if I wouldn't be able to understand yung all the text that that are in AUST and BNE. So it's a closed door if you don't know the language. Pero there's so much that you can do when you study Spanish. So I hope parang our scholars would start to take on din yung Spanish language.
Do you mind
Yun.
if I ask you, like, what are your learning procedures? Like, how did you balance doing the actual research and basically learning a new language, all while having a social life? I'm guessing.
What social life, no? No, but ano, it wasn't that hard because I enjoyed the process and I had friends in Spanish language classes. I had very supportive colleagues while I was doing the research. So um parang lie pa lang, it wasn't that hard. I was just, parang nagka-flashback ako on the nights that I was writing. Pero it's difficult but it's bearable. And the outcome when you parang find out these yung when you develop your own findings or when you come across parang new findings that are not yet known before, it's something else. Parang it
Yeah.
beats partying siguro for me.
And I would actually say, if I could just follow this up before bringing up one more question, it's a lot of intuitive fumbling, I guess. Like, I wonder what your, I mean, like, if we could kind of put a ratio to your bibliography, right? It's a lot of primary resources and not a lot of theory to fall back on. I'm guessing not a lot of frameworks. Like, you really did kind of have to improvise as you go, and that's such a, like, wow, that's such a stressful experience. So I mean, can you tell us more about it, Corey?
Exactly. Actually, I'm whenever I'm asked about my theory, I have a go-to, like the Edward Said
Yeah.
Orientalism something, and then the is that see Cracks in the Parchment Curtain by, oh my god, I forgot the author. But it's like Cracks in the Parchment Curtain. Those are my
Okay.
theories. Those are my go-to theories. But if you look at the research closely, parang it's not really dependent on that.
Yeah.
Parang it will work. It's very practical. It's a very practical research. So ayun, I just have this backup theories whenever I'm asked. So para safe.
Yeah.
I forgot
Actually,
the author.
I was actually kind of curious because, like, I got to read recently, like, Nico King's Culture and History, Culture as History, and I was so certain that you would kind of bring up McLuhan at one point just because of medium is the message, and yeah.
I did encounter Makban. William Henry Scott, yun. Cracks in the Parchment Curtain. So explain ko lang for the audience the this idea. He said that kasi we have trouble with our Orientalist sources kasi most of our history is written by the West, diba? Which has like
Mm,
a negative image. Parang the colonies are always depicted negatively. Yan.
yeah.
So sabi ni William Henry Scott, you have to look at the sources in between the lines. So for me, graphic design is looking at the sources, pero uh, parang looking at the cracks nitong parchment
Wow.
curtain na sinasabi niya. Ayan. So the
Interesting.
truth or the real stories of the Filipinos now are hidden behind this parchment curtain, behind these documents na to. And maraming evidences of culture ng actually we've lost these stories, no? So imagine, are you familiar? Am I babbling? So are
No,
you
no,
familiar
go
with
ahead, go ahead.
the
Yeah.
the history book that is Theodore Agansiliban? I forgot. Basta there's a always prescribed history book, but when you look at the pages, it's like 300 years for only this much pages. Tapos parang American period ganyan kakapal, tapos etc. etc. So it's almost impossible, no, na for 300 years, ganun lang kaunti yung alam natin. So we have to look deeper. Yeah. And
Yeah, and
graphic
then
arts
actually,
is a great source.
yeah. Okay, wait. I'm just gonna go pull up some of the questions. Mildred says, "Have you tried to research in Archivo?" I don't know. I'm not gonna try to pronounce that. Do you want to go ahead?
Hello po. No, I haven't. I haven't encountered the digital version of the Archivo, but is there? If they have, I will try. I will try looking into it.
And
That's
then
another one
Christine.
of my goals to go to physical archives in here and abroad so that I can complete the research. Thank you for suggesting. I'll look into it.
Then Christine Padillon asks, "Are there any bookstores that sell the books you recommended in Manila Graphic Arts?
The
Maybe
one
university presses
uh,
or." Hmm.
yung Filipino engraving, the one with the orange front page, I think it's out of print. Limbag Kamay, you have it in CCP, tama ba? I bought mine in
Yeah,
CCP.
yeah,
And
we actually
then
have it consigned.
Simbahan is also out of print. But if you go to libraries, they have it, I'm sure. Probably in the closed off sections. But if you ask for it, they have it.
And then Anton asks, if you have your publications available to the public.
I do. There's an article that was published in Filipiniana Sacra of UST Press. Um, I think it's the most recent issue. So my research is published there. I'm also trying to work on another publication. Sa akin I announce when it's done. Baka, ayan, I might not be allowed to say it.
You can't even give us a little premise, or no? It's top secret.
It's nakakahiya kasi if it doesn't get published. So I'll keep it a secret muna.
Okay, I think like
Pero
it
it's in a
happened.
university press then. University press. I'm sorry, I interrupted you.
No, 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 it's completely fine. I just wanted to mention that it seems like you're moving or focusing more into practicing the visual arts also. So not only are you a researcher, but you're also kind of practicing what you learned. And I wonder, like, did your relationship change with your practice as an artist, having researched these things, or having come from this background? Like, do you see a difference with how you approach or look at art and art making compared to maybe your peers? We don't have to name them. I'm just really curious. Yeah.
I haven't really thought about how it influenced me directly, but in general, like studying history or studying cultural heritage um, gives me somehow a wider view of things. I'm not sure if it affects my art. I'll try to introspect later, no? But maybe uh, this studying of cultural heritage, of history, parang gives me a different perspective or parang for example when I view an object, parang I not only view it as it's physical, parang I try to imagine how it came to be, parang ganon. Is it weird? Or does that make sense? Parang what's the heritage behind it? Right? So what are the
Yeah.
social factors that affected it, you know, economic, etc.
Yeah, and I really appreciate how like this line of studying that you do, it really just does not confirm any stock knowledge or prejudice because it's so remote from the general storyline. Like before this presentation, I was pretty sure that most graphic art just had something to do with friars throwing Bibles from a pulpit like into an audience. So like this is great. Like, thank
And
you,
that's a
Carla.
good point, no? That's a good
Yeah.
point. So it takes away prejudice. Yun. Well said.
Okay. Um, I think we're gonna call it. We're a little bit past the 1 hour mark, but thank you so much, Carla, for truly like insight-oriented research and really just coming from the legwork of your reporting. It's really great. Yeah, thank you, Sir Ricky.
Thank you, Ilo.
One more thing from Rona. Rana, can you share with us published articles that we can go into if you want to go back to the information that you shared in your presentation?
Ah,
Maybe,
uh,
yeah.
the article I published, that was published in the USC Press, the one in Filipiniana Sacra. I think I have a very comprehensive bibliography there. So if, for example, after reading the article, you'd want to delve into um, your own research, maybe you can use it as a roadmap for looking into articles. Also, the Simbahan book has a very good um, bibliography. It served as a roadmap for me when I was doing my research. So just to know what publications to look into. Yeah. Thank you,
Okay.
Rona.
Thank you, Rana, and thank you, Carla. I really hope that more people get into cultural heritage, especially, as you said, the visual artists who want to kind of endeavor or learn more about printmaking from this event. Thank you. Uh,
Thank you.
yes. Okay. Bye, guys. Thank you for coming by. Again, Carla Gamalinda, she has her research in the Filipiniana Sacra. You can find that online as a website. And she also has her work up at Gravity Art Space until November 27. Okay. Bye bye. Thank you.